Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Hello, this is Rick Vosser with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
So I have a mouse. No big deal.
Actually, mice contaminate food and spread disease.
Bed bugs? In my suitcase? No, our hotel was spotless.
Actually, bed bugs like any place there's people and cause itchy red welts.
So I saw a cockroach. Okay, 3. It's no emergency.
Actually, cockroaches can trigger asthma and spread disease. Household pests are a health threat. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association and the CDC.
WVLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lindsay, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now, we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got in the bag.
The Inside Drive. From college to the pros, interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey, and good Tuesday morning. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN at Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Along that beautiful Forgotten Coast, you can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow. There's no dislike button, thank goodness, because I'm sure you'll throw a couple of those out there, but you can. That's all on our social.
There's that angry reaction.
There is the angry reaction. Every once in a while we get that, but I don't know. Maybe somebody's just, angry at something somebody said. Anyway, that's on social media. That's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search it up, ESPN Northwest Florida. You can also download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. That one you do need to search up 104.3 ESPN North. Actually, Jay just tells us all you gotta do is search 104.3 and boom, shows up right there on the first page of the search engine. You can also go to ESPNPC.com. Check out that little TV logo button. It says TV channel. That's KHS TV. $40 a month. Literally every channel. Like I've got it on here in the studio. You can find literally, there's pay-per-view. I'm sure the UFC fight from this past weekend was on there.
They are.
There you go. I don't know how it works, but you might as well do it now while you can. $40 a month, every possible channel or show or pay-per-view. I'm sure NFL Sunday Ticket's somehow on there too, but
Red Zone as well.
Red Zone as well. Really all you need is Red Zone, unless you're have to watch your team and it's out of market.
I normally don't put my stamp on things because I don't have much ink, but that is one thing I would absolutely. It's funny because I spent all my complaining Saturday evening on UFC, so I didn't have any more complaining to give away after that. But someone had commented on the status like that's why I quit paying for the fights. I'm thinking in my head like I'm not going to say this on social media, but I haven't paid for a fight since Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. So
hey, there you go. KHS TV, ladies and gentlemen. You can also watch the fight. And technically, you're paying for them, but a low monthly. In a different way. A little
different facet.
Absolutely.
I'd rather pay for beat down at the beaches, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. But yes, real quick, Braves update. Unfortunately, the Dodgers, that last game of the series, wiped them away again. I think the final score was 9-0, if I remember correctly. And then, unfortunately, the New York Mets won their game last night. So the Braves fall one full game back of the Mets for that final wild card spot. Luckily, the Diamondbacks are kind of on a little skid, too. 4-6 in their last 10. They lost last night as well. So they're only a game ahead of the Mets, and the Braves are 2 games back of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I believe this afternoon we got a game coming up, 5:40, afternoon underdogs, end a little early today.
5:40, baby.
5:40, it'll cut right to it. No tickets to give away this week, so that is easy peasy. And as we are your home for the Atlanta Braves here on the Gulf Coast, and season's hopefully not going to come to an end in early October. But if it does, it's okay, because we got football going on.
Yes, sir.
And really, it's crazy when we switch to football. Everything somewhat changes there. But speaking of football, that Monday Night Football game last night, I've got lots I want to talk to you about with that final segment there. Obviously, we all know the outcome. Falcons came back with not much time left after a very surprising dropped ball from Saquon Barkley. But I don't know if it's as much the drop, but obviously he catches the ball, game's over.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. They probably get the first down. They can run out the clock, whatever you want to do. But going back a couple plays, the Falcons went off sides purposely to try to give them the first down, so that way, they could just go ahead and run the hopefully 3 plays and stop him.
Right.
Sirianni declines it, which keeps it right there. I think it was about at the 2-minute warning at that time. He declines the penalty, so it doesn't give him the first down. The next play, I think it was the next play, they run that little, running back out to the flat. Saquon Barkley drops the ball. Unfortunately, then they decided to kick the field goal. A lot of people said, well, why didn't you go for it on 4th down then? There's just so many different sequences that could have transpired, and what's the right call in that situation? I don't know. He's aggressive. He also kind of said it was on his offensive coordinator. He kind of took that blame away from himself in the post-game press conference.
Smart coach, very smart.
Yeah, push the blame. It's a we. It's you. It's not we. It's you. You did it.
Which stinks, because that's been one of the big talking points for the Eagles this year, right? Kellen Moore coming over.
Yep, absolutely. He was supposed to kind of bring the togetherness and all that stuff. But yeah, what would you do in that situation, David? And that was going to be the poll question today. Is not at that moment there, the 3rd down, because I think the second argument is that, okay, after the ball's dropped, do you just try to get the first down then at that point? Because you get the first down at that point, the game's over 100%. But instead, exactly what went wrong that Falcons needed to have happen went wrong. They went 3rd down, didn't get it, dropped the ball. That stopped the clock.
Yeah,
it's the perfect scenario for the Falcons. And then we know what Kurt did. Obviously, they didn't put any pressure on him. He had plenty of time in the pocket, and I think it was 3 or 4 plays, and boom, they're in the end zone.
I mean, I don't know if I change anything, because 9 times out of 10, Saquon Barkley catches that ball.
Yeah, so it was 10 out of 10 before last night.
Right, exactly. So I think that's what makes it so hard, and it's just one of those things that, one, you got to give credit to the Falcons for just fighting.
Yeah.
Credit to Raheem Morris for the time management. Bad look for the Eagles when it comes to time management, right? Because you do want to keep that clock rolling as much as you can, but at the same time, when it's a 3-point game, when it's a 2-point game, whatever it was at that point, 2-point game, 18-15, right?
18-15 is a 3-point game. They kicked it to go up by 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with that, it's you have to stay aggressive. How often do we see teams kind of just try to run the clock out, and at that point, you end up costing yourself the game?
Yep. Well, I mean, he's aggressive on the play call, but then you could have been aggressive on the next one. I mean, you had Saquon Barkley that couldn't get stopped running the football, and then you make that play at the end. So I guess the poll question would be, on that 3rd down play, are you going to run the same play? Are you going to run it? I'm trying to think of 2 other options.
4 is the maximum, but 2 is the minimum.
Yeah. Are you going to run the play that they ran, or are you going to run it and try to get the first down? So I want to hear what you guys think. And then, of course, there's a secondary poll question. You could say, okay, then after he dropped the ball on 4th down, are you going for it or are you going to kick as well? So I don't know. Some crazy stuff. Wild end of the game. And then, of course, just to make it a little more interesting, after Drake London scored the touchdown, he did a little celebration that was the refs didn't like there, kind of shooting the guns up into the crowd, and got the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which made the Younghoe Koo extra point. I think 48 yards, if I'm not mistaken, but man, he drilled it right down the pipe. They go up by 1. I did think that the Eagles were going to find a way to come back and kick a field goal, because I think there was 35 seconds, 2 timeouts, which is a lot to do there in the
I just wanted a couple more catches from Devontae Smith.
Yeah, we all wanted something. I just wanted one more catch from Bijan Robinson. I would have had $250 in my pocket, but it's okay. I did hit another 5-legger with because it was an interesting game, but also some thoughts on Jalen Hurts as well. It just seems like Jalen Hurts, I haven't seen a lot of progression from him from year to year. He seems like when he's throwing the football, he's kind of predetermines where he wants to go with the football, and he either forces it or then he checks it down and runs. So I don't know what the deal with Jalen Hurts is. I don't know if it's the coaching situation, and I may be speaking out of context, but this is just what I'm seeing. And I just don't see, not last year, but 2 years ago, the Jalen Hurts that just was, on fire. I don't know your thoughts on that, but just even the interception at the end of the game, it just seemed like he was going there no matter what, and he forced it, and of course there was a pick.
I think that's been not his MO, but something that you've been able to see from him since he was the quarterback at Alabama. I think that he found some growth at Oklahoma, and it's one of those things that hopefully as the season progresses, when you have so many options. Now, also one thing, there was no A.J. Brown last night, so that does change
absolutely
your options out there, but I'm not going to sit here and stick up for Jalen Hurts, because what you're saying is true. There's times where it just seems like he is predetermined on where he's going to go prior to the snap, and with that, the defense sees those tails as well.
Yep.
So kudos to the Falcons, honestly, for in a tough environment, on the road, Monday Night Football, prime time, Kirk Cousins gets it done.
Yeah.
And did not turn the ball over last night, interception-wise, and threw for 2 touchdowns. So I find that to be very impressive. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, that you see interceptions at the end of the game so often.
Yeah, you can't really, you're kind of going for broke at that point, but I feel like they could have at least given themselves a shot for a field goal. They didn't have to go that far to get there, especially with 2 timeouts. But yeah, like you said, Kirk Cousins, 241 and 2 touchdowns, and huge win for the Falcons. I mean, 0-2 in the NFL, almost pretty much not guarantees, but that uphill battle to make the playoffs when you go 0-2, history is not on your side. So some could say that
I feel like we have multiple 0-2 teams this year that are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
so.
Hey, we could. The trends could change, that's for sure. But Saquon Barkley dropping that ball obviously gave Kirk Cousins maybe a little confidence. If that play doesn't happen, Kirk doesn't have the opportunity to come all the way down the field and try to win. And you can see what he can do when he's not being pressured. So, he got it done, and he celebrated afterwards, and Falcons are 1-1.
Yep, there you go.
Which is huge for them, because 2 teams in their division are 2-0 so far. So if they would have went 0-2 in that division, things would have got a little more challenging on the way, but I don't know.
Saints-Bucks and Saints-Falcons games are going to be very interesting this year. A couple of things here. Let's get the poll squared away. If you were the OC for the Eagles, what do you do? Is that the
what do you
question?
Are you running the play that they ran, or are you going to run the ball with Saquon, obviously, because it's going to use more clock, and you've been pretty successful all night, especially with the tush push. If you got close on 4th down, I think you go for it.
And Mike just texted in. He says, no Jason Kelce at center, which is a different situation than A.J. Brown not being there, because A.J. Brown is still a part of the team, but there is no doubt about it that not having that guy, I mean, look at what Jason Kelce's doing for Monday Night Football Countdown, and then he was in the booth for the rest of the game as well in the second half, essentially. So he pumps me up listening to him talk. I can only imagine what he did for that locker room. And then thirdly, we have Travis on the line.
Oh, there you go. All right, Travis, let's hear it. I know you're a big Saints guy. You're very high. Let's not give him the Super Bowl trophy yet, but what'd you think?
Well, funny thing was yesterday, last night while I was watching the game, and it was closer to the end, and I went on Hard Rock, and I was looking at the, what it would be if you bet the Falcons to win, live bet.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out did you figure out what it was after when they got the ball back on that final drive?
This was before that.
Okay.
And I was like, it was funny because I said, a crazy person, it would take a crazy person to bet this. Like, even like $10 on the Falcons winning right now, because the Falcons usually choke, they don't win. They usually, at the end, is where they do the worst.
Yeah, last night, the opposite.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, that would just be a crazy person. But something was telling me it was like, you should probably put $10 on it.
And what point of the game was this at again?
It was, I want to say,
were they up 15-10 at that point, or was it when the Eagles had just went up?
The Eagles had just went up, and I think this is when, did they have a 4th down stop on Atlanta?
Yeah. Atlanta went for it on their own side of the field, and they tried to run it with Bijan and got stuffed. And at that point, it was 18-15.
Because I remember looking up, I don't know why, this is just one of the little memories. When I was on my phone, I looked up and they had gotten the ball because one of their players was running, just, excited.
Yeah.
So I remember it was at that point when they had went for it and didn't make it. And I was like, it'd take a crazy person. There ain't no way I'd bet that. And I probably should have put $10 on it.
Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20. I wonder what the
Ryan just said the same thing. Ryan Warren said hindsight is 20/20, but he goes on to say that if anyone chooses to check the ball down to Saquon, they don't know anything about football. Well, I mean, we agree to disagree again, my friend.
Yeah, he catches that football. None of these conversations are happening. That is for sure. Do you remember what it was when that happened, Travis? I'm just curious.
No, I don't know at all what it was. I can't remember the score or anything. I was just looking. I was just fooling around with Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Because I still haven't even placed a bet yet. I'm going to, but I was just kind of fooling around, seeing how much would get me what to bet.
I wish I would have paid attention or thought to do it when Saquon dropped the ball and then they kicked the field goal to go up 21-15. I would have loved to see what the Falcons' money line odds were at that point. I was trying to find that earlier, but I couldn't find it successfully. But I got to imagine it was probably something ridiculous because they had a 99.3% chance to win at that point. And hey, just like in Dumb and Dumber, you're saying there's a chance, and they made it happen. So
I'm thinking about putting $10 on Mississippi State to win this weekend.
Man, sure. Or there's probably you need to bet on when Napier is going to be fired.
Well, it should be Sunday.
Well, depending on the outcome.
After we lose to Mississippi State, I just think it's going to happen.
Well, the Barstool SEC says neither FSU or UF should be allowed to fire their coaches until after rivalry week.
I concur.
I need to see 2004 Billy Napier versus 2004 Mike Norvell like I need the air to breathe.
I've seen that, yeah.
That's good. Oh,
yeah,
man.
That would. Well, they're busy. FSU's over there busy having water gun fights. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I didn't. I do love a good water gun fight, though.
There was a video that went out during their practice, and it's a video of. I think the video was supposed to be of DJ, just doing his warm up or whatever in practice. But behind him, you can see one player running and a coach squirting him with a water gun.
Is that like simulating some kind of defense there?
I don't know. I don't see how that could be at all. But he was squirting him with a water gun, and everybody. It went with a meme for a while because it was right before the Memphis game, and they said people were saying 0-2, and y'all over here having water gun fights. Should probably focus on practicing.
Well, and I was a little good.
They lost to Memphis.
Hey, moral of the story: don't have water gun fights.
So people said if they get some water guns out there, they might run.
Ooh. There you go. There you go. I was surprised to hear, and I shared this yesterday, just more putting the information out there, but Norvell was quoted in his press conference when asked about DJ Uiagalelei amid the team's 0-3 start. I am pleased with the way he's preparing. I am pleased with the things he is doing, he told reporters on Monday. You see the moments where he's giving us a chance. He's giving us opportunity to have big plays. I thought there were a lot of reads and things that he needed to do, and the position where he needed to put us in put the ball that was positive. He also conceded, saying it's been a challenging start for everybody, and that we all have a responsibility. I don't know what DJU he's watching, but and maybe he is preparing good. But once it comes to the game, just too many mistakes being made, from my opinion. And you're starting to see guys move off of their starting quarterback and making some changes. And I don't know. I think he needs to at least make a change. And if it doesn't work, at least you made the change. So now your fan base, your alumni, your boosters all can see if that works or not.
So, for one, two funny things. One, not the first one's not very funny, but it is a fact. You get about one play per half that DJ looks like he could put you in a scoring position, which is 14 points. So I'm not sure what he's watching. Two, I took a screenshot of that and I sent it to my wife because she's a Florida State fan. And obviously has been in shambles.
What would you describe yourself?
Tough household for college football there, Travis.
Yeah, we're well, I guess we're both in shambles. Yeah, we're not. Neither one of us is okay. But I'm more okay because I'm a Saints fan. But she's a Kansas City fan, so I guess she's always okay.
Man. Well, I mean, what do they say? Misery loves company.
Yeah. But anyway, I sent it to her, and she had 3 words to say back. Is he blind?
Right. I think a lot of the fan base that I know was very surprised in this comment. But at the same time, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, he's your quarterback. You got to defend him. You can't just toss him to the curb and throw him under the bus. I mean, the fan base, and obviously his play is doing that. But as the coach, I mean, you got to support your players. So I kind of get that.
You got to have faith.
Look at the Tennessee Titans with Will Levis.
Yeah, there you go. The
guy literally gets on stage every weekend, pretty much trashes Will Levis every time he gets on the stage. Hey, Trav,
we got to take a break because we got Doc Egg coming up in the next segment. Appreciate you giving us a call. Your Saints are 2-0, tied with the Bucs, leading the NFC South. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. When we get back, we'll have our good friend Doc A, Steve Alexander, on the line for us. I want to hear his opinions of Week 2 in the NFL, all that good stuff. We'll be right back.
It's here. The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app version 2.0. Now featuring ultra high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus, more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, possible thunderstorms and some sun, and a high of 82 with a light breeze out of the south-southwest around 6 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 76. Tomorrow, isolated thunderstorms in the morning and afternoon, followed by mostly sunshine and a high around 84. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing KHS TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. All your local favorites. Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC. Plus, catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks. ESPN, the NFL Network, and the NBA Network. It's more than just sports. KHS offers 50-plus movie channels, 150-plus entertainment channels, all your favorite news networks, and watch thousands of movies and TV shows on on demand. All for just $40 a month with a one-time $2 billing fee. And you can watch up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score KHS TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the TV logo. That's ESPNPC.com and click the TV logo.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Haven't been able to get Doc A on the line quite yet. Yeah, David, 4.3 yards per carry. You're right. Hey,
that's what I'm saying. Is like
that's all they needed, though.
I get where Ryan's coming from, Ryan Warren.
Yeah.
And I respect what he's saying. It's still, to me though, it would be totally different if Jalen Hurts had got blown up. Yep. Or, you know what I mean? But that ball hit Saquon in the hands. And they had stopped him a few times leading up to that drive. He did have a 9-yard run there. Also, here's the other thing that you're looking at. If he does get stuffed there, the Falcons still have that third and final timeout. So there's, it's basically the same exact situation if he does get stuffed.
Gotcha. But if he gets a couple, then they can do the tush push and get it in 2 plays. Ifs and buts, no doubt.
No doubt about it. For me, I love time management, right?
Yeah.
I love time management. So if they do run the ball there, that's actually probably 75% would be the right call.
I don't think the Falcons had a timeout.
I think that I'm wrong on that. They
because when they dropped it stopped the clock, and I was like, oh my gosh.
But I guess what I was trying to say is instead of they scored in 1 minute and 5 seconds, right? We got
fast.
Doc A's calling, so
okay,
we'll get back to that.
Perfect. We'll take Doc A's call and we'll dive in. And Doc, how we doing on this beautiful Tuesday?
Well, that's what happens when you don't set your alarm like you're supposed to.
That's all right. And, we're still here. We're good.
I'm one of those people that sleeps in like 1 hour increments.
Just all over the place.
Yeah, all throughout the day and night. So it's always interesting. But how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Jay's got an 18-hole high school match today, so he is about getting ready to. I think they tee off at noon, so he is not with us today. But let's talk real quick. We'll talk a lot of NFL. I got a lot of questions for you about the NFL. But what have you guys been up to on the old Sports Etho podcast?
We're just doing our thing. Talking about the upcoming season, comparing a lot of players, a lot of would you draft this guy or this guy questions. So if you play fantasy basketball, I'm telling you, man, this podcast is something else. I love it. We're doing it every day, and there's a new one out there every single day. They're 45 minutes to an hour long, and they're good. They're fun, man. I love doing it.
Absolutely. Got to go check those out. And that's one of the things you had mentioned to us, too, when we asked a couple of weeks ago about, strategy when it comes to NBA fantasy drafts. And you say you're not drafting the positions as much like you are in football. You're drafting the players, and you're just trying to get, your best players that you possibly can.
Well, yeah, and like a lot of these questions that we've been doing on the pod are, would you draft this center or this guard if it was your pick at 77?
Gotcha.
And a lot of times it's like, well, it all depends on if I have centers already. If I have centers, I don't need a center here. I'll take the guard, stuff like that. But it's different. They're different. They're different games between the NFL and basketball. And if you're one of those people that plays fantasy football and you hate those days like we're in right now, where Tuesday and Wednesday there's nothing going on. Basketball's every day, so it's fun.
No doubt. Definitely got to check that out if you haven't already. Just go to sportsetho.com and all the ethos ethos.com. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. But hey, Doc, week 2 NFL is done, and whew, what a wild one it was, including last night. But give me some of your thoughts on week 2 and what transpired. A lot of big time upsets, and a lot of teams that are 2-0, and a lot of teams that are 0-2. That may be a little surprising.
Yeah, I tell you what, that Falcons game last night was. I live in Atlanta, but I don't really trust the Falcons like most of us, and I'm not afraid to bet against them, whatever I need to do. And I lost it all last night, man. I lost my fantasy football game by 1 point to my buddy who was sitting here in my office watching it with me. So that was interesting. He had, I had Bijan, and I had the kicker for the Eagles, and then he had the running back for the Eagles, and we just went back and forth all night. I just needed one Bijan catch, one extra point, anything, and it never happened. But as far as the week went, I'm shocked by the Saints crushing the Cowboys like that. Like, that was a disaster. Dallas is supposed to have good defense, right?
Yep.
Put up 44 on them. That was very interesting. I find it very interesting that Baker Mayfield looks like an NFL MVP candidate right now.
Yeah, him and Derek Carr leading the MVP candidacy right now. I don't know if they actually are, but why not?
Yeah, I think they probably do. Like, Derek Carr has scored a touchdown on 15 straight.
They have not scored on a possession so far this year. It's insane. They're 15 of 15, something like that. Hold on, I got some.
That makes no sense to me either.
Yes, they have not. Week 1, they went touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. And then week 2, they went touchdown, 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 touchdown. So they went on their first.
That's when Derek Carr's on the field, though, right?
Yeah, it's their first 15 drives. After those 15 drives, they did not score. But, yeah, 15 straight drives to start the season they scored, including 4 field goals and 11 touchdowns. And we're talking about the New Orleans Saints here. Some crazy stuff. But, hey, new offensive coordinator Kubiak's in there, and things seem to be humming, firing on all cylinders.
And then, how bad are the Giants? How bad is Danny Dimes as a quarterback? I think I saw some diagram there that was like how to build the perfect horrible quarterback. It was like Danny Dimes legs, Danny Dimes arm,
just everything Danny Dimes.
It was just Danny Dimes, yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then, they got beat by the Washington Commanders, who that just doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Wild times.
It's fun, man. I love when stuff doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. That Chiefs-Bengals game was really fun to watch. And go Kyler Murray. I've got him as my quarterback. And the Cardinals look pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. They're a lot of teams that struggled a little bit seem to have found some pieces. But again, it's early in the season. I'll get back to that Saints-Cowboys game. It kind of seems to me when the Cowboys get out to a lead, they play good football. But when they get punched in the mouth, they just don't seem to be able to ever recover. I've seen it in several games in the last couple of years, and they just never seem to be able to fight back when a team comes out aggressive and gets up by a couple scores. I don't know what the deal with that is, but it's a crazy start to the season, no doubt about it.
And the Cowboys are easy to pick on. Everybody likes to make fun of their friends that are Cowboys fans about never winning big games, playoff games. At least in the last decade. But that was rough, man. I did not expect the Saints to be coming out here and just blowing people out. Alvin Kamara had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that was wild. I went to the Vanderbilt Georgia State football game on Saturday.
The upset by Georgia State.
It was quite an upset. It's wild, man. Like, you're watching an SEC football team get beat by Georgia State, and you're doing it in an environment that is like there were fewer people there than there are at my hometown high school game.
Yeah. And Georgia State Stadium's like right there in the heart of Atlanta, downtown, right?
Yeah, it's the old Turner Field. And now they have built a lot of restaurants and a lot of stuff around there. Like the area itself is much nicer than it was when the Braves played there. But that was the other weird thing about being in that stadium is I just had all these flashbacks to having my kids there 20 years ago. And like, oh, there's the bullpen that's no longer there. And there's the safety medical room where my daughter had to go when she passed out while we were in line waiting for the Yankees. And like all these memories were coming back, and it just made me sad that it's gone. It was, like being in my old house.
Yeah, that's weird. I had no idea, and I always thought it was like right off there, I've driven past it before where they used to play. I think that now I had no idea that they're playing where Turner Field was.
It is still Turner Field. Like everything's still there, and they haven't really maintained the bathrooms. Like it was just weird. It was just a very weird experience. And of course, I had Vandy minus 9.5, so that was good too.
Yeah.
But we spent the night in Atlanta, and then came home on Sunday. So I didn't really get to see any of the games until later. I just tried to watch some highlights.
Yeah, definitely. It was the 10-game slate in the early window. The what did he call the box on Scott Hansen? The Deca
box.
Deca box. Yeah, Scott Hansen tore it up on NFL Red Zone channel. That was pretty cool. But yeah, man, some crazy stuff. The Ravens are 0-2. I don't think anybody had that one on their bingo card. That's for sure. But and the Niners, they lost to Minnesota, and Minnesota just has their number. Brock Purdy's beat every NFC team. His only 2 losses in the NFC are both to Minnesota, and they haven't won in Minnesota in 32 years. So it just seems like some of that stuff seems to matter. Like you said, the Commanders won, the Chargers won over the dumpster fire Panthers. We'll dive into Bryce Young later on in the show today. It's some crazy stuff. Cardinals whooping up on the Rams, like you said. The Chiefs skated away with a victory there. After week 2, Doc, who do you has your thought changed at all on Super Bowl potentials, and or do you think that we're still on the same trajectory before the season started, regardless of the records?
I mean, it's early, man. You don't know what these teams. You don't know what these teams are until we're like 6 games in. But I mean, I'm no longer stating the Saints. That's for sure. I mean, they look really good. I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, like you were saying, highly disappointing. And I don't know if they're using Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry the way they should be using them. So that's kind of weird. I thought the Colts are 0-2. They were supposed to beat the Packers without Jordan Love. So
yeah, the Malik Willis show.
More disappointment in my former hometown of Indy. But I'm at this part of the game. I just like there's no bye weeks. Everybody's playing. There's so much action. Like you said, Scott Hansen can't even hardly keep up with it. It's so fun.
Yeah, fun is there's no doubt. And we've had this discussion. We've had this discussion with a lot of listeners in the area. David kind of sparked it, talking about, watching NFL games versus watching college games. Outside of the, the tailgating, the pageantry, as it's always said with college football, there's just something about watching NFL because you're watching the best players in their sport. And it's just, I don't know. I enjoy watching the NFL game better than watching the college game.
Interesting. I think most people where I live are like, I don't even care about the NFL. Like everybody is so hardcore.
And maybe that's because I grew up in the Northeast, so I wasn't, really exposed to the college football world. But just from a play standpoint, I mean, we're heading up to Auburn this weekend, looking forward to the whole experience and all that, especially with the kiddos. But it's just the gameplay, someone who loves actual football and the analytics and how schemes are run and all that stuff. There's just something fun about watching the NFL for me. And like you said, a lot of people think it's kind of boring compared to the college game because it's not as, big plays all over the place, and, the talent level is much more even for the most part.
Well, and they can't use the argument that, I like watching the kids play just for the love of the game. Well, now they're getting paid.
That's changed,
so that argument, that's out the window. But, I'm with you. I grew up in Indiana, and Indiana Notre Dame's a football school, but Indiana's not a big football state, Purdue and Indiana. And we were all basketball people. So, back when I was a kid growing up, all I cared about was the NFL. I didn't even really, I think I watched college on Saturdays when it was on, but it was really all about the NFL. For me at that point. You're going to the Auburn game?
Yeah,
Saturday?
We're going to head up there Friday after a little youth basketball game and hopefully see Auburn win the SEC opener against Arkansas. Because they lose to Arkansas, we got some issues. But, hey.
I am going to see Georgia host Auburn on October 5th.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun. That's not too far away from you, right? About an hour and a half, maybe?
About an hour, man. I'd take a right-hand turn out of my driveway and drive a straight line for an hour.
Man.
We're at the stadium.
The super highway to Athens, Georgia. There you go. What did you think about Georgia? I guess struggling is probably the right word with Kentucky. But Georgia always seems to have a couple of those. But is that concerning at all or just kind of expected when you're trying to go undefeated throughout the season?
I don't know. I mean, is Kentucky really that good? I doubt that they are, but and again, I was at the Vandy game, and so we were just hearing about that Georgia game, and I can't believe how close it was. And Georgia's no longer number one, right? They got
Texas jumped them. Yep. And really, Texas, besides Michigan, what they did against Michigan, they've played Colorado State and UTSA. So their first big matchup really isn't till Oklahoma in a few weeks, and then it follows up with Georgia. So Texas, looking at their schedule, seems to be the easiest route to stay undefeated at this point.
Yeah, I haven't studied it, but that sounds correct. And what's going on with Oklahoma, man? I looked at this game this weekend. They're at Tennessee, or they're at Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's a home game.
Tennessee's 71% supposed to win that game. So that just kind of freaks me out. I'm used to Oklahoma being really good.
Yeah, and they may. I mean, Tennessee, they've played. Obviously, they played NC State was their toughest game so far, but their offense is just a powerhouse right now, putting up 1 million points. But yeah, I think it'll be a big game for both of those there. But yeah, looking at Georgia's schedule the rest of the way, I think they have a bye week this week, and then they are on the road against Alabama. That's going to be a massive game, of course, and then home against Auburn, home against Mississippi State. That's probably back-to-back wins there. And then on the road against Texas, home against the cocktail party down there in Jacksonville against Florida. Then they go on the road against Ole Miss, home against Tennessee, home against UMass, and then finish the season with Georgia Tech. So looking at that schedule compared to looking at Texas's schedule, which has Louisiana Monroe, Mississippi State, which are trash, Oklahoma at home, Georgia at home, Vandy on the road, Florida at home, Arkansas on the road, Kentucky at home, and then they finish the season with Texas A&M on the road. Texas's route seems a lot easier to me than Georgia's.
It does, man. You just read that off, and Georgia has to do what? They're at Alabama. They got to play Tennessee. They got to play Texas.
Three road games: Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss in the rest of their schedule. And their home games are Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, or not? That's not home. Tennessee, UMass, and Georgia Tech. And really, Georgia Tech's not going to be a skate over this year, in my opinion.
Well, Georgia Tech has beaten Georgia before. It happens, and I remember one year Georgia brought Vandy in for their homecoming game, and Vandy beat them. So you never know what's going to happen. And you're right. Georgia Tech looked really, really good when they beat Florida State. Now, we've learned since then that Florida State can't throw a football more than 2 yards.
Yeah. The state of the big-time Florida schools is tough right now.
That dude, the coach of the FSU is saying that he's happy with his quarterback's performance. I'm not even going to try to say that guy's name. But, he just looks he looks horrible.
They all just look lost, and they just don't. I don't know if it's coaching or if it's they had to get so many players out of the portal and they're just not meshing. But it's a mess, and I think Billy Napier can be very happy that what's going on at FSU is going on, because I think if FSU was 3-0 at this point, the pressure would be a little bit more there on the Florida side of things, no doubt about it. But Doc, we've come to our end of time. Appreciate you as always. We're getting ever so closer to the NBA season, and looking forward to diving into some NBA fantasy action. Doc, take care and have a great rest of your day.
All right, Ryan. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. That's Doc A. You can check him out on sportsethos.com. Daily podcast with all your amazing NBA action. You're listening to The Inside Drive here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back.
Wide open down the sideline.
ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. With David Hayes.
Touchdown, Mosley Dolphin.
And Kyle Wright.
You take the top off the defense, and the interception turns into points for the Mosley offense.
Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
All roads lead to adventures this fall in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover our Kia SUV family and get ready to forge a brand new path. Bill Bird Kia is now offering 2.49% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. It's the best family SUV with third-row seating space for the entire family to unwind. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us anytime at 2435 East 15th Street or BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento with $1,775 per $1,000 financed at 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/30/24.
From the Auburn Sports Network, Alpha Insurance presents Auburn Sports Today. Here's Brad Law.
Auburn football opens SEC play Saturday afternoon against Arkansas. Hugh Freeze and company have turned their full focus to the Razorbacks.
Well, a good football team that's well coached, and they're deep at some places, and they look like an SEC football team, particularly in the O-line and the running backs and tight ends, and quarterback's very, very dangerous. Big defensive line. Inside guys are huge. 40's a preseason all-SEC guy at defensive end, and they replaced a couple linebackers, but these guys seem solid. Secondary, they're going to challenge you more. We haven't been challenged like this. They're going to get up and press you and play, a mixture of quarters and man and some three, and but they disguise it pretty good. But in all of them, they'll get up and press you. So it's going to test us, and how do we handle getting off the ball against press technique? And we haven't seen a lot of that. Cal's DBs were pretty good, but they were press bail. It wasn't true press. And these guys will truly press you.
Both teams are 2-1. Razorbacks have wins over Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and UAB, and a loss to Oklahoma State in overtime. Saturday's contest kicks at 2:30. The Tiger Tailgate Show starts right here at 11:30 a.m. Finally, soccer RPI. First ones released this season. Unbeaten Auburn is third nationally. Those Tigers open conference play at home this weekend as well, Thursday actually, against Vanderbilt. More on that throughout the week. Until tomorrow, I'm Brad Law for Auburn Sports Today.
With a
playoffs hanging in the balance and the Atlanta Braves looking to make some noise, it's going to come down to every single game.
Swung on a fly ball, deep left center field, and is down for a base hit. Braves win it in the bottom of the 10th.
Tonight, the Braves roll out their final road trip of the season with their first stop at Great American Ballpark to take on the Cincinnati Reds.
Braves first pitch, 5:40 after the afternoon underdogs. Your home for the Braves, ESPN Northwest Florida.
The locals love him.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Your home for the Mosley Dolphins coming up this Friday, hosting, I should know this off the top of my head, but Escambia. I was going to say Pensacola, but Escambia hosting them at Tommy Oliver Stadium. You'll have Coach Brian Haddad and Coach Andy Siegel with the pregame show at 6 p.m., followed by David Hayes and Kyle Wright calling your play-by-play action over there for the Mosley Dolphins. Your home right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to that one. I'm sure, I don't know how Escambia is, but given how Mosley's been playing.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think it's another team that Mosley's a little bit bigger than. You know, Escambia is a known talent for football. So, and they really escaped with a win over there in Escambia against Bay.
You were talking about that yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think most of us think that Bay won that football game, but or at least we know that was a bad call on the goal line.
Yeah.
And the game did go to overtime. So we'll see how it plays out for Mosley, though. You got to take care of the football, which is something that they didn't do their best job in this last week. Uncharacteristic throws from Sammy Freitas. But I'll tell you one thing, man. If you're a Mississippi State Bulldogs fan, you should come out to the game just to watch Locavian Jackson. He's primarily the jack linebacker. He's committed to Mississippi State as a safety. But when he gets the ball, offensively speaking, when he gets a touch as a running back, sometimes it's direct snap, sometimes he'll be in the backfield beside Sammy Freitas. It's almost like an automatic touchdown, man. Like, he makes people miss and he makes them look silly.
Yeah.
And he's fast and powerful at the same time.
And that's all. I mean, anytime you got somebody that's a, power 4 Division I commit, obviously they got some serious talent.
And you got two of them over there because Raiden Bruins is heading to Rutgers. So
there you go. Hey, my old stomping grounds. A lot of my friends went to Rutgers up there back in the old Greg Schiano days. They were good there for like a year or so. Anyway, I know this news broke after the show yesterday, but wanted to talk about it with David, and that's former number 1 draft pick Bryce Young being benched. Originally reported that the GM and executive vice president made the decision, and unfortunately, he's been pulled out. He's the first ever first-round draft or first overall pick to be benched, not due to an injury. But the Trey Lance trade from a few years ago, which was an absolute disaster for the Niners, I feel like you could put this one over that as a bigger disaster, given the Panthers gave up so many things. They sent DJ Moore up there to Chicago. They gave 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 4th-round pick to the Bears in exchange for that number 1 overall pick, which they used Bryce Young to pick up. The Bears have since converted those picks into offensive lineman Darnell Wright, cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, quarterback Caleb Williams, and punter Torrey Taylor. They also have a second-round pick in the upcoming 2025 draft. Just imagine they were 1 pick away from CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
Do you think this is more on the play of Bryce Young, or do you think the organization just did not do him any favors and they need to fully take the blame for this?
Well, the offensive line is hot garbage.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a lot of time, but even when he still makes mistakes that you're like, bud, you can't be throwing that ball. I'm seeing in a lot of Titans groups right now, you have to let Will Levis go throughout the season. I do agree with that, right? But here's the thing. Coach Brian Haddad put this perfectly yesterday. This could be a nice reset for Bryce. Let Andy Dalton get in there. Let Bryce stay right next to Coach Canales and just talk through things.
Yeah, watch the game and learn from the sideline instead of being in there just being on your back all the time.
And I'm always a proponent of, especially quarterbacks, getting to sit behind a veteran who's a wealth of knowledge. And we can say that about the Red Rifle, right? He's a journeyman. He's been in multiple places. Last stop was at the Saints. He was with the Cowboys for a bit. Obviously, his career over there in Cincinnati was not shabby by any stretch of the imagination. So for me, I don't think that this is 100% on the organization. Now, have they done what the Bears have done for Caleb Williams? No, but the Bears felt so strongly about Caleb Williams and they saw what they did with Justin Fields, that at least they tried to make some of the right moves. Now, would you like to see that offensive line shored up for Caleb Williams so that he's not running around like a chicken without his head? Absolutely. But I can't say that Bryce Young is without blame just from, and I haven't watched a ton of Panthers games this year. Well, obviously they've only had 2, but they're just not a fun team to watch.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, it's not that. There's so many games that are one possession games that you're
not flipping into the Panthers game when they're down by 3 scores.
You don't even see them on red zone that often, you know, but the times that you do, you're just like, what are we doing here, brother? And I think it's one of those situations where your team gets so far down that you have to press. You have to make things, you feel like you got to make things happen instead of letting the game come to you. And so we'll see, man. Maybe this is a good reset for him, but at the end of the day, if you're Coach Canales and you're not liking what you're seeing from Bryce Young, then Andy Dalton is going to be the answer for at least a couple of games.
Yeah, no doubt. And I heard what you guys were talking about yesterday, too, and I wholeheartedly agree, but maybe you should have done that to start. But is it the pressure when you take a quarterback number 1 overall that they should have to play because you drafted them number 1 overall?
I think the NFL is ruining quarterbacks by doing that. And, you know, Tom Brady has said it, that quarterback play across the board in the league is down. I think that I honestly have to give credit to the defenses in such an offensive game that the defenses are starting to catch up. I said this 2 years ago. Watch, scoring's going to go down a little bit. The passing offenses aren't going to be as lethal, and it's not because I'm Nostradamus. It's because if you look at the way that sports in general plays out. But they go through cycles. So the the offense finds a couple of new loopholes. They get loopholes from the world of penalties from the officials, and then the defense figures out ways to catch up. And then in about 2 years from now, the offenses are going to start becoming explosive and lethal again, and then the defense will have to catch up. So. And there's freak athletes on the defensive side of the ball now.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys just, man, it's tough to be a quarterback in the NFL. And that's why, the success that you've seen a lot of these guys have in recent years is pretty dang impressive. But going back to 2001, just quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall. Michael Vick back in 2001 by the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, he was a very special talent coming out of college. He made the Pro Bowl in 2002, 4, 5, and 10. Obviously, his career kind of derailed a little bit with the legal trouble, but then came back and finished with the Philadelphia Eagles. David Carr, 2002, although not the best career, he was a Super Bowl champion back there. And then Carson Palmer with USC, he came to the Bengals. He won the Heisman in 2002. He was selected the Pro Bowl in 05, 06, and 2015. Eli Manning, who was drafted by the San Diego Chargers, even though he went to the New York Giants. Pro Bowl in 08, 2011, 2012, 2015, Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl MVP in both Super Bowls that they won. Alex Smith, drafted number 1 overall in 2005 by the San Francisco 49ers. He was a Pro Bowler in 13, 16, and 17. Jamarcus Russell, I think one of the other, or one of the most famous first-round draft pick busts out there. Obviously nothing to really write home about, but when they ask you what you watched on the film and you tell them all about it, and they sent sent you a blank videotape, that pretty much seals your deal when it comes to your career in the NFL.
Yes, sir, Bob.
Oh, goodness. Matt Stafford, 09, out of Georgia. He was drafted by the Lions, spent a lot of time there with the Lions. And then, of course, that year he came over with the Rams in the trade for Jared Goff, another overall number 1 pick. He won the Super Bowl. I believe that was Super Bowl 46, maybe? I can't remember. He's a Pro Bowl in 14 and 13.
I need to see the Roman numerals to be able to do that, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Bradford was drafted by the Rams in 2010. He was the Offensive Rookie of the Year that year, but unfortunately his career kind of derailed with a lot of injuries that he just couldn't overcome. 2011, Cam Newton, he was number 1 overall pick again by the Carolina Panthers. He was Pro Bowl 11, 13, 15, Offensive Rookie of the Year in 11, and the NFL MVP in 2015. Andrew Luck was drafted by the Colts back in 2012. He was a Pro Bowler in 12, 13, 14, and 18, and then retired a little early. They just couldn't get him enough offensive line protection there to keep him healthy. Then
you want to watch the emotion of heartbreak on someone's face? Just talk to a Colts fan and bring up, man, imagine how good you guys would be if you still had Andrew Luck.
Yeah, ifs and buts, right? Jameis Winston in 15, and then Jared Goff in 16. He's been in a Pro Bowl 17, 18, and 2022. Then Baker Mayfield, who was drafted by the Browns, but he's kind of resurrected his career down there in Tampa Bay. Kyler Murray in 2019. We know what he's doing now. Joe Burrow in 2020. Obviously, he's doing pretty good. Trevor Lawrence in 21, and then Bryce Young in 23, and Caleb Williams in 24. We got to go ahead and take our top of the hour break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little afternoon delight debrief. Listen to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
This Friday night, we're going under the lights. It's the Mosley Dolphins at home versus the Escambia Gators. Join David and Kyle for the Mosley Dolphins live from Tommy Oliver Stadium, kickoff at 7. Mosley Dolphin football on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Panama City Toyota, orthopedic specialist, and Chapman Wealth Management.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, possible thunderstorms and some sun, and a high of 82 with a light breeze out of the south-southwest around 6 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 76. Tomorrow, isolated thunderstorms in the morning and afternoon, followed by mostly sunshine and a high around 84. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Life can take us so many places. And at Panama City Toyota, we're here to make sure every drive is worth every minute.
Maybe you want a fun, fuel-efficient car for everyday driving. Or you need a dependable vehicle that really gets the job done. Sometimes it's all about answering the call of the wild. And when you're ready to shop, reserve your vehicle online and choose your options. Or we'll help you in person, even if you started the process at home.
Whatever works for you always works for us.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Saturday, Auburn football is back.
Down the sideline. Oh, what a catch. Oh, what a catch by Perry Thompson.
The Tigers host the Arkansas Razorbacks in the SEC opener.
He looks that way, he throws, and it's intercepted at the 15-yard line. Antonio Kite.
Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Central. Only on your home for the Tigers.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
Pound the like and crush the subscribe. Follow us on social media for the latest sports news, scores, and updates.
And I never get off Instagram or Facebook and think, wow, good for everyone.
Keeping you in the game. It's the Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios at ESPN Northwest Florida.
are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And it's not just those areas. It's a bunch of coverage out there. You can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow, put an angry emoji, whatever you want to do. That's on our social channels, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search it up, ESPN Northwest Florida. You download our free mobile app. Where, Jay? That's right.
Skeeter.
Squirrel. Inside the Google Play or Apple Store. That one you just need to search 104.3 and boom, it'll pop up right there for you. That way you can listen to us if you're not in your car, you're not at home, you got your phone, you don't want to be on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. All you do is open up that app. Boom, it plays right there. And you probably got Bluetooth headphones somehow, so you can listen to us anywhere you want to go. You can also head over to ESPNPC.com, KHS TV, the little TV channel button or icon down there. Click that. $40 a month, over 5,000 channels, including all pay-per-view, all NFL, all NBA, all NHL. Every major sport that you want to see is on KHS TV. That's impressive back there. You know, maybe you should have that going on the camera and distract everybody.
Nah, Randy doesn't like when I vape on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Just don't do it on camera and you're good.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's beautiful, though. It's smoke. I was waiting for the arrow to go through.
Don't know how to do that. Just the circles.
It's
the circle of life.
Yeah.
Or the lack of.
There you
whatever.
Go. Yeah, there you go. Can people really make an arrow, or is that just fictional? Or like something going through it? I don't know.
Well, I've been able to, like, blow a big enough circle to, like, streamline a little bit of smoke through there. Or
gotcha.
Vapor.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Oh, goodness. But anyway, we got ESPNPC.com. And, of course, got to thank our studio sponsor. I was driving back from volleyball last night, heading down 23rd Street. Ooh, yeah. And, man, there was a lot of vehicles in that lot. Looking good. Trucks, SUVs, cars, electric vehicles. Whatever you need is there at Bill Kramer GM. They'll make it easy and take great care of you, especially if you need some service. They got express service for quick oil changes. Or if you need a full bunch of work done, they will take care of it for you. Also, trade-in values are still super high. So if you're letting to get that taxed right off, we only got about 3.5 months left on the 24 year. So if you're looking to deduct that over 6,000 pound vehicle, head over there to Bill Kramer GM and they'll get you going and get you back out on the road ASAP. They might get you back out on the water too on the other side of the corner there. That is Kramer Marine and Outdoor. They got lots of boats over there, new and used. They're a Yamaha outboard full line dealer. They've got Yamaha Master Certified mechanics on staff. If you don't want to go to them, they'll come to you with their great mobile service. They sell the family of CRI boats that include Seabourn, Spider, Sundance, and
Skeeter.
You can check out all that new and used inventory at KramerMarineandOutdoor.com.
Can't help but think of Doug and Patty Mayonnaise when you say Skeeter, right?
Yep. Man, Skeeter was the best. Green skin and everything.
Yes, sir.
Patty Mayonnaise.
That's kind of teal, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's green.
Yeah, teal. It's green and blue.
Yeah.
Green and blue.
Depends on what your TV screen was doing back then.
That's true. That's true. Depending on what your color pattern was, you had to change the warmth of your settings there. The contrast, the warmth, all those things that didn't make any sense, but you had to adjust them. Hey, great show though, but the only thing about that is nematodes, which they were always trying to catch in the pond, are actually microorganisms, which I learned once I got in the golf business. I was like, man, I always thought nematodes were frogs. Nope, they're not. They're tiny little microscopic organisms that are terrible for your turf on your green. So thank you, Doug, for making me think nematodes were actual amphibians.
Blame Doug.
Blame Doug, indeed. What was Roger Klotz was the villain.
Klotz, yeah.
Villain. He was always trying to get Patty. Always trying to steal Patty from Doug. That's kind of how it always goes.
He was like the Fonz of Doug.
That's true. That's true. The Fonz. Doug, what a great show that was.
Harry Winkler.
Harry Winkler, indeed. Mr. Coach Klein. Mr. Coach Klein. Oh, man. Anyway, I think we're going to be able to get through an afternoon delight debrief even without Jay. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
Just because I've had a story that was similar outside of how I had my partner in crime with me in the car, my brother. 23 months apart. But an 8-year-old girl took an SUV from her Ohio home. We did it from, you can search up another one.
No, I got plenty, but that's brilliant.
But she drove for miles to a store where she was later found unharmed. The girl whose name was not released, and the vehicle, which was a 2020 Nissan Rogue. Mine was a Buick.
There you go. Nissan Rogue. A little ironic there. She went rogue and took the Rogue.
But she was reported missing around 9 a.m. on Sunday. Bedford police said family members said that they had last seen the girl at the residence about 2 hours earlier. As they launched an investigation, they learned a small child had been spotted driving a vehicle on a nearby road. Could you imagine, like, if you're in traffic and you see someone who's like probably standing up.
Yeah, double taking there. Absolutely.
Back in the day, I don't think it's as alarming, but these days there's so many more cars on the road, right? I did this back in the country.
That's
but
it was legal in the country.
Yeah. As long as you didn't get caught, right?
There you go.
So the vehicle could not be located. The SUV eventually was found a short time later in the parking lot of a Target store in
Of course
Bainbridge.
it was Target.
Yeah, that's my first thought, too. Is like, well, like mother, like daughter, right?
There you go. Basic.
I wonder who drives better.
Good question.
This is way off kilter here, but I don't know if you've seen Will Ferrell is going to be in this new Netflix special that is about someone who used to be like the executive producer of SNL, and they are transgendering or transitioning into a different gender,
Gotcha.
to the opposite gender. And that one of the scenes, they're riding in the car together, and the person's like, you can ask me anything you want. He's like, well, is it true that women are worse drivers?
Will and Harper.
Will and Harper. There you go.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be fun. He does such a good job.
I think it's going to be more serious than what we're...
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's not a funny movie?
I don't know.
Well, one way to find out.
And let me know.
I will.
There we go.
I'll Netflix it up, that's for sure.
But police soon found the child by herself inside the store. So not only did she drive, but she's
already ready for real life.
Imagine that. You're like getting your grocery card or whatever.
It's like watching Home Alone.
Wait, do you have that Benjamin Button disease or whatever?
Yes.
Authorities did not say why she had decided to travel to the store or provide further details about her trip. The girl is too young to be charged criminally. It wasn't clear Monday if any charges would be filed in the matter, which remains under investigation. What do you feel about that? Should the parents face any consequences?
That's a tough one.
It is, man. Then you run the risk of taking that kid away from the parents, and it's all about the family, man.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, now this could have obviously went a lot worse. She could have gotten in an accident. She could have hurt herself. She could have hurt somebody else. So there's definitely some wild stuff. But how was she so good at driving a car? That's what I want to know.
Simulators.
That's true. They probably had one in the house. That's right. You blew my theory. My actual theory is going to be like, well, maybe the parents let her drive a little bit.
Oh, there you go. Or she has a go-kart or something.
That's true. Golf cart.
How did she reach the pedals, though? She's got to be a tall 9-year-old or 8-year-old girl.
She's tall. Yep.
My goodness.
Sprouted early. She didn't need the...
she grew from the embryo.
That's it. She's really good at volleyball and basketball.
There you go.
But yeah, she's too young to be charged criminally. So what happened? What if she would have murdered somebody?
Then I think you make exceptions.
Then you can be charged.
Yeah.
Is this an adult at 8?
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. Got spicy there for a second.
Robert Fleming, give us a call.
Yeah. Please let us know the stipulations here when it comes to that. But hey, she just wanted to go to Target and get some supplies, man. That's what happens when you watch all these TikToks and Instagram reels. It's manipulating the minds of the young people out there.
Yeah.
Making her drive cars and go to Target.
Making her. Yeah.
That's exactly what I want to know what she was getting. There's got to be more to the story.
That's the most important part, isn't it?
You picking up some squeezy mates? You getting some,
I'll say ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream.
Ice cream at Target. Or maybe she just really needed to go shopping. Maybe,
she was trying to redecorate her room. She was looking for some decor, It's school season. She had to go get a notebook. Her parents wouldn't take her, so she took matters into her own hands. That's pure speculation. That isn't That's why it's the Afternoon Delight debrief.
Glad everything ended up being fine, though,
Yes,
for the family and for the kid.
Of course, no doubt. This one, another reason glad everybody was okay, but firefighters give life-saving CPR to dog rescued from a cooking blaze. September 16th, Utah firefighters rescued a dog from an apartment blaze that seems to be caused by cooking, officials say. The emergency call came in around 5:30 a.m. It's a little early cooking, and rescue officials located the burning unit in Midvale, or Mid-Valley. I don't know, it's probably Midvale. The only resident inside the apartment at the time was a dog who had been in a kennel and was not responding when firefighters arrived. However, the animal was giving life-saving CPR. The unit's other inhabitants had been out when the fire started, but the damage is so extensive they cannot return home. Not all heroes wear capes, Unified Fire Authority officials wrote on social media. Sometimes they carry leashes. Today, Company 1 TAD had the incredible opportunity to rescue a dog from a fire. Moments like these remind us how lucky we are to protect not only our community, but also our furry family members. Grateful for the chance to save lives, humans and animals alike. Where was everybody? I'm gonna make breakfast and then I'm out. Is a cooking fire?
I don't know.
Somebody's in there cooking. There's a lot. I need more. I need more from this story. But kudos to the fire people for giving the dog CPR, bringing it back to life.
I wonder if it's easier to give a dog CPR or a human being.
Ooh, good question. We'll ask a dog next time. We'll get a dog on the line.
Maybe we can get Dr. Doolittle.
There you go. Get
Hercules.
What was Cesar Millan? I saw. You don't really hear a whole lot from him anymore, but I saw something the other day, and he was doing his training with the dog that was aggressive around food, and then the dog backed up, and he's like, "Oh, this is how I do it." And then he went to reach for the dog's food again, and the dog just tore into him and wouldn't let go.
Hercules is Nutty Professor, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy.
It's all one together.
Hercules.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Oh man, that is a scene, bro.
That is a good one. Whew. Man. All right, we'll continue on with another dog one. Dog rescued after weeks of wandering New Jersey highways. This is from September 13th. A New Jersey animal shelter said a Jack Russell Terrier spotted running loose for weeks along highways near Newark Liberty International Airport is now safe and has a new name, Monkey. The dog, believed to be under a year old, was spotted on multiple occasions over the course of several weeks and evaded previous capture attempts. The canine was eventually caught in a trap by Buddha Dog Rescue and Recovery, which they gave the terrier the name Monkey. Monkey was taken to Ramapo Bergen Animal Refuge on a stray hold, but officials say he had likely been abandoned intentionally. Surprisingly, Monkey is not the first Jack Russell Terrier dumped in the area in recent months, and even more unexpectedly, it only took minutes for this adorable dog to warm up to the human touch, despite evading rescuers for long, the shelter said on social media. Jack Russell Terriers, man, if you get a Jack Russell Terrier and you don't have a yard space and you don't want to spend time playing with that dog, he's going to drive you crazy because they are energetic as heck. Pretty impressive because, around just in Newark in general, the amount of people on the roadways up there is insane. The fact that he did not get run over, he's a little miracle monkey, that's for sure.
Miracle monkey.
It's not an actual monkey, but that's what they call them, so we'll go with that. But yeah.
That's a weird name for a dog, to name it after another animal.
That's strange.
Name it a duck, goose, or something like that.
Duck, goose. Trying to find another one that is. Oh, this is just a funny pun, but it's true. This is from September 12th. Grape spill causes traffic jam on California highway.
Hopefully nobody was whining.
Got him again. Oh, some say the stains were purple. September 12th, commuters on a California highway were given ample reason to whine. Got it, David.
Yeah.
You already knew. When a semi-crash caused the roadway to become covered in crushed grapes. Look, they already did the work. You got to crush the grapes. So the CHIPS, California Highway Patrol, said a crash involving two semis and a pickup truck caused one of the big rigs to spill its load of grapes on Highway 165 north of Bradbury Road in Merced County around 11:35 a.m. on Wednesday. The grapes were soon crushed by passing vehicles, creating a slippery mess across the roadway. The highway was closed in both directions between Bradbury Road and Harding Road while the crews worked to clear the wreckage and the spilled fruit. CHP officials said no injuries were reported in the crash. The cause remained under investigation, but alcohol was not believed to be a factor. Well, I guess they put that in there because it was a grape spill.
Yeah.
You still got to ferment them, though, and get all that stuff.
Yeah, it takes a little while. Need a little yeast.
It does. A little yeast. They make stuff happen for everybody. Bread, beer, wine, all that good stuff.
I got a sports one. How about Will Levis? That's the afternoon delight debrief. Just leave it there.
Just his name in general?
Will Levis.
I like that.
No, I got one apparently, and I don't know if this is factual at all, but Caleb Williams, when he was drafted, texted his punter, Tory Taylor, who they drafted, I believe, in the fourth round, saying, you're not going to have to punt the ball that much this year. To this point, still young in the season, 1 offensive touchdown.
1 tutty.
How many punts?
12.
Yes, sirree, Bob. But it's still,
hey, you got to say stuff like that because you
gotta have the confidence.
You got to have the hype. Yeah,
you need everyone to believe in you.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, hey, Bears got at least feel like they're moving in the right direction. It's just hopefully Caleb doesn't become one of those guys that like we were just talking about with Bryce Young, just not given the chance to learn the NFL game and thrown right to the fire early on. But hey, he's 1-1. He's not 0-2. So,
and we've also talked about that the jar or whatever that was smashed at the Israeli museum, or was it?
Yeah, we did.
Museum?
We did. Yeah,
and it's back on display. I don't know if you brought that back up.
I did not.
But they've got it. Yeah, they got it fixed all up, and it's back on display.
Nice. And I know they invited the family to come back because they knew it was just an accident.
I wish I could get away with just breaking stuff in the museum.
Yeah, and then they bring you back for a private tour.
Well, if you're 4 years old, though, right? That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's kind of like 8 years old and taking off going to Target.
Yeah, you get reprimanded, but you don't face any charges. Still wild. Target of all places. She was going to go to Starbucks next. But yeah.
Well, it could have been one of those ones that had the Starbucks.
Maybe that's why she went to Target, because she knew. She knew where that Starbucks was.
Did you end up making sandwiches yesterday?
I did.
You had the oil and the red wine vinegar.
It's because we were talking about them.
Oh,
and I had already bought that on Sunday because I try to have a roast beef sandwich in the afternoon.
So that's what it was? Roast beef was the meat of choice?
Yes, it was. And those were 2 foot-long sub sandwiches. I'm glad you brought that up because when I was cutting the sandwich yesterday, I was like, is this the case? So they were both 2 foot-long breads, right? I cut the one in half to make a half sandwich. But then I cut that sandwich in half when I was done. So is that technically a quarter or is it a half? Because I cut the bread in half and then I cut the sandwich in half. So if you look at the whole thing, it's a quarter, but the sandwich was just limited to half the bread. So there's only 1 cut in the sandwich.
But was there 4 pieces of sandwich? All said?
No, there was only, for what I ate, there was only 2. Had I used the entire loaf, it's a half.
So you weren't able to experience the foot-long phenomena?
Yeah, no. I thought about it.
So it took, and that's the thing is, yeah, no, you'd have to quarter it because the whole thing is it triggers your brain by getting you that dopamine hit because you're like, I want more. But when you're having to bite in, 6, 7, 8 bites, your brain's kind of like, I'm getting tired of this.
Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. And I'm glad I found those bread because I was getting just the smaller ones. And when you cut that in half, you got a knuckle on both sides. Yeah. And it's like, so I finally overcame and found the foot-long one. So it was nice because I only had 1 knuckle, and I ate the knuckle first and then had that. So
I really do like the knuckle. I wasn't even joking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've got nothing against the knuckle. There's no doubt.
I've never heard it called the knuckle.
I don't even know if it's called the knuckle. It's probably just the end, the heel.
That's the beauty of life, I think.
Yeah, you're allowed to call it whatever you want.
Exactly.
And if it sticks, it sticks. But yeah, I was thinking about that when I was cutting. It's like, is this quartering it or am I just halving it?
And then you had Howdy on Facebook talking about how good of a job of advertising for a non.
I know. Come on, sandwich shops. Ryan Warren, I know you said you know a sandwich shop. Get them to advertise here with the Inside Drive. We talk food every day. We might as well have a sponsor to do it.
Man, I almost want. That's making me want to go down there for lunch.
I know. Yeah, I get the London broiled roast beef. I get the loaf of breads. I get lettuce, and they make some really good like sandwich lettuce, get myself an onion, cut it up.
Just the shredded iceberg lettuce?
No, they have like a little pack of like sandwich lettuce specifically. So I just peel it off, and it lasts forever. So it's probably induced with chemicals and all that.
Isn't that funny? Like bread, I feel like bread lasts so much longer today than it did when I was a kid.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It gets smelling yeasty, but it still works. So you like the added?
No.
Okay.
No, honestly, I was going to say when to me, it starts smelling like paint.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. Like there might not be no mold on it, but when it starts smelling like paint, it's like.
That's the time?
No, I had to move on from that addiction.
Yeah. Hey, I guess we got to huff a little bit out now and then. We got to take a break, though.
Charlie Huff.
Charlie Hull was, she lost the Solheim Cup this weekend, but
Nelly.
No, she beat Nelly Korda handedly in the singles match, but
heater in hand?
Yeah, heater in hand.
She won that lady.
She won a lot of people do. She won the her match, but the U.S. won the whole Solheim Cup, first time since 2017.
Oh, well, I'm happy about that. I love you, Charlie, but USA all the way.
USA. Speaking of USA, we got Brad Law coming up next from the Auburn Tigers to discuss last week's game, this week's game coming up. They had Tiger Talk with Coach Freeze last night, and I want to find out what was going on. You're listening to The Inside Drive. Brad Law coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Mike Greenberg.
That season is going to go down as a terrible year for the Giants. That was a bad team that somehow, through good coaching, and Daboll wound up the coach of the year, and Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones doing the things he can do, they wound up winning a bunch of games, and they made the playoffs, and they won a playoff game. And it convinced them and maybe others they were something that they clearly were not.
Greeny. Weekdays on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, a likelihood of thunderstorms and some sun and a temperature of 82 with wind 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest. Mostly clear skies tonight, very little wind and warm near 76. Isolated thunderstorms in the morning and afternoon, and then mostly sunshine and 84 tomorrow. 86 and sunshine Thursday. This is your Tuesday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Life can take us so many places. And at Panama City Toyota, we're here to make sure every drive is worth every minute.
Maybe you want a fun, fuel-efficient car for everyday driving. Or you need a dependable vehicle that really gets the job done. Sometimes it's all about answering the call of the wild. And when you're ready to shop, reserve your vehicle online and choose your options. Or we'll help you in person, even if you started the process at home.
Whatever works for you, always works for us.
Florida Health Connector. We connect you to Blue.
Turning 65 soon? If you're confused by all the Medicare information you've been receiving, start by calling your local Florida Blue agency. Florida Blue offers a variety of Medicare and Part D drug plans, so no matter what your health care coverage needs are, we're sure to have a plan that's right for you. Call Florida Health Connector, and we'll help you cut through all the fuss. Call 850-249-1010 today.
We're starting fresh.
Fresh new start.
Locally sourced, Farm to Radio. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is live and local. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are your home for Auburn Tiger football here in the Florida Panhandle. Coach Hughes Freeze and the Auburn Tigers open SEC play at home this weekend against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Kickoff at 2:30. Make sure you tune in to ESPN Northwest Florida as we are your home for all of your Auburn football action. And speaking of Auburn football action, it's been two quick weeks as it always is, but we've got our good friend. He's the Director of Broadcast Operations for the Auburn Sports Radio Network. That is Brad Law. Brad, how are you doing?
Doing great, and I'll tell you, that song there that you were playing coming back there, Feel Good Inc., kind of reminded me of what this place was like 2 weeks ago. You know, a melancholy town where we never smile, and, you know, there's a line in that song that says, you got a new horizon, it's ephemeral style, a melancholy town where we never smile. That kind of, that was 2 weeks ago after the Cal game, but now everybody's feeling good again. Hank Brown just went out and had a terrific game in his first game as a starting quarterback, and now we're ready for conference play. So it's a very different feeling, different outlook this week.
Absolutely. Kind of weak, but I think the expectations were pretty high going into that Cal game based on the first one. Of course, I mean, in Cal, kudos to Cal. They played a great game, had a great game plan, and their quarterback completely outplayed Peyton Thorne. But here we are. Hank Brown's now the starter. Brad, I know Tiger Talk was last night. What are some of the things that came out of the episode of Tiger Talk yesterday?
Hugh Freeze talking about some of the players that he kind of reiterated something that he said in his press conference, in that the way they're building this program is with guys who are not all concerned exclusively about NIL. NIL is a part of it, but Auburn is a place where it's pretty easy to have passion about it. It's pretty easy to appreciate all the other things outside of sports. And when you've got kids like that playing for your team, playing for your school, they're going to be rewarded with NIL. They're going to be compensated in the next few years as a part of this settlement, this NCAA settlement. And, the money's coming. But, what differentiates Auburn from other places is, outside of the money, outside of the game. And when you've got kids that are in line with that, they're just more fun to coach. It's more it's just more enjoyable. We all understand that we're paid a salary for our job, but we're not factory workers. It's not just about do the work, get the check, go home. If you can enjoy what you do and appreciate your job outside of just the money for it, then you're blessed beyond just how you're paid. And he talked a little more about that last night on Tiger Talk, on top of being very happy with Hank Brown. I asked him before the show started, Ryan, about, are there plays where there like one or two plays that stood out among the others, like as really driving home the good game that Hank had? And he started listing them, and he started to list one or two, and he wound up with 5 or 6. So lots of examples from the show last night and from the game film of Hank Brown having a solid first start.
Yeah, first start, always nice to have a, New Mexico, a lesser opponent, just to call what it is. But, get his confidence going. He looked pretty good, looked comfortable in the pocket, made some great throws. And the thing that I noticed, didn't really make any mistakes. He looked like he was very decisive, getting the ball out fast when you need to. And obviously, you got Arkansas coming in this weekend, SEC opening game. I'm sure the atmosphere is going to be wild. We're excited to make the trip up there this weekend. We're going to be in the blue section, so we'll be wearing our blue Auburn gear. I know they're doing the white, the orange, and the blue, so the stadium, Jordan-Hare Stadium, is going to be looking pretty awesome come kickoff time. But what are some of the things that we're going to have to see out of Auburn this week? I know Arkansas is not the best opponent, but they're still an SEC opponent, and they're coming into Jordan-Hare, and Auburn needs to make a statement in this game.
Yeah, no, I'm leery of Arkansas. The offensive line has improved more than any other unit on their team. Sam Pittman, the head coach, brought in Bobby Petrino, and he's probably Pittman's probably paid a little extra attention to the offensive line and given Petrino full reins of the offense, and he's a guy who knows what to do. Look, it didn't work well at A&M last year with Petrino, but that whole thing was a mess at Texas A&M looking back, so it's not surprising. He has Taylon Green, a Boise State transfer, who is a dual threat quarterback, and he's got Jaquindon Jackson, who has been as productive a running back as we've seen in the league this year through the first 3 games. He has power, he has speed, reminds you of some of the old school Arkansas running backs from a decade or 2 decades ago. He's not Felix Jones or Darren McFadden, but he's very good. And so Auburn, it's a very different challenge. Last week, I think Auburn's defense was more concerned about what happened outside the hashes with the mobile quarterback and spreading the field horizontally with New Mexico. As a result, they kind of got gashed up the middle on 3 or 4 runs. I think you have to be more concerned with what happens between the tackles in this game, because Bobby Petrino is really good at balancing his offenses. He's 51% pass, 49% run through the first 3 games this year. And if you allow them to run the ball up the middle with success, you're going to pay for it later with play action passes. So got to be, I think, key number one against a talented team. That game at Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago for Arkansas got a lot of people's attention. They were still waiting to see, and that game woke some people up. They're taking Arkansas very seriously.
Definitely. How important is it for Jarquez Hunter to get out to a great start in the run game to really open up that passing game and the play action for Auburn? Obviously, he had a big week last week. Really couldn't get it going too much against Cal. But how important is the Auburn run game to kind of get that balance offense to open up, some of those deeper passing plays with the stud wide receivers they have?
Yeah, it's going to be big, and it's why I'm interested to see what the game plan is. What does Arkansas do defensively? Do they stack the box, or do they put in a lighter box with 5 or 6 in the box and dare you to run it? I think that's to Auburn's advantage if they do that. Last week, the first kickoff return went 66 yards, set Auburn up at the 32-yard line. They didn't really have to think about downfield passing, and that allowed Hank to throw some shorter passes to start the drive. But that first drive was 9 plays. There were 6 passes, 3 runs. They were pass-heavy early and then used the run to balance it out. I continue to think that they'll take what the defenses give them, and I expect Arkansas to try to shut down the run early. So I think Auburn might have to pass early in order to take a little pressure off the box and force the safeties and linebackers not to play up as much, and that will create some running lanes. Now, whether it's the first drive or the second quarter, when or if Jarquez and Damari and Jeremiah can establish that running game, that really then opens up balance and it opens up deep shots downfield. I kind of expect this to be a slow, feel-it-out type of game early, and then some big plays in the final 3 quarters of the game that decide it.
Yeah, definitely. Now with Hank Brown being the starting quarterback for Auburn, is he pretty much the guy for the rest of the season, or do you think there could be obviously Auburn's got a pretty tough schedule coming up after this game, but do you think he's got a short leash, or do you think, as Hugh Freeze told him, look, it's your team now, you're our guy, we're confident in you, because that feeling of you could be taken out by making mistakes sometimes makes young quarterbacks play a little tentatively, and I just am curious if there's any insight into what that relationship is right now.
Yeah, I think that, Hugh Freeze recruited Hank Brown as a 10th grader in high school, believes in him, was signing him to Liberty, and then brought him to Auburn with him. I think that whoever the starting quarterback is has to demonstrate that they will do the right thing at the right time in a game. How long? I don't know. We haven't seen him not do that yet.
Yeah.
And so the first time we see him not do that, it'll be the first time. So you don't pull a guy after the first time.
For sure.
Do you need a game? Do you need 2 games, 3 games? I wouldn't say that it's locked in that right now on September 17th, Hank is the guy for the rest of the year. I think you got to see how conference play plays out. I think it's what made the timing of him starting last week really wise, again, in hindsight, because I didn't predict this last week, but in hindsight, it was really good timing, because now you can still turn back to Peyton if things go south with Hank, because you've had an opportunity. Peyton's had this opportunity to sort of get slapped in the face metaphorically and kind of shocked into, man, if I don't do it now, then I'm never going to do it. So let me do my role as the backup and as a supporter and a coach on the field. And then if I'm pressed back into duty, and this has happened at a lot of programs throughout college football history, where the guy gets benched and then you get a chance to go back in and redeem yourself, and it works. So he has that opportunity to do it. In hindsight, if you had started Peyton last week and he had struggled again, and then he's pulled this week, there's not a lot of really hope to come back from that.
Yeah.
So you at least do save that for him and for the team if necessary. But again, I go back to the first point, kind of a circular point, but we haven't seen Hank not do it yet.
Yeah.
And so we got to see him not do it before we talk about how long or short a potential leash may be.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of on the flip side of that too, if you started Peyton Thorne and he didn't look good and you took him out, now he wasn't, Hank, I'm speaking of, was not preparing the entire week as the starting quarterback. And there's a total different mindset and a total different game when you're doing that, when you're the starter all week, all practice, you're taking the first team reps. So I think on both sides, like you said, the point with Peyton, giving him an opportunity to come back by taking him out after the Cal game, and the same thing to give Hank some confidence going into, an easier quote. I never like to use the word easier in a college football game, but it is what it is. And then now he's got an SEC opener, and kind of he's had a whole game to run the offense, and hopefully he can continue to play well this Saturday at 2:30.
Yeah, he's thrown 23 passes or 22 passes in a game this year as the starting quarterback, and I think that experience matters regardless of the opponent. Nobody's under the delusions that New Mexico is Georgia. They're the dead last defense in the country coming into that game. They were 3 away from the bottom in pass defense. So if Auburn didn't have a good day passing, that was going to be a real red flag. We know that. Bronco Mendenhall's a terrific coach, but he's in his first year with a new program. They're not good defensively. But now Hank took the field twice while trailing. They trailed 3-0 and then 10-7. That matters. He was throwing short passes on first down, deep passes on first down, short passes on third, short passes in the red zone. Like, he had to do a little bit of everything. That matters. Now, at least, even though the opposition is markedly better, like objectively, Arkansas is much better than New Mexico.
Yeah.
Even though they're better, he at least has done it in a game with the lights and the crowd and an opposing defense trying to bear down on him and that kind of thing. So he's got to do it even better going forward against SEC competition, but now he's at least prepared to do it and done it. So nothing that happens this week is brand new for him.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you need as a young quarterback. You got to get that confidence, and I like that point that you said too. He didn't just come out and Auburn get up 14-0 or 21-0 early in that game. They had to battle a little bit and stick to the game plan. So easing them into this first SEC matchup. Brad, on the state of college football, wanted to get your thoughts on the Florida and Florida State situation right now. Obviously, Florida State 0-3 after Norvell lost to his previous team. Comes out in a press conference and said he really likes DJ Uiagalelei and how he's preparing and all these things. A lot of the fans seem to see that's a little delusional. And then, of course, on the flip side there with Florida, kind of where they are as expected. Obviously, they beat Samford but have lost to Miami and now Texas A&M. The Billy Napier, boosters got the money together. They go on the road against Mississippi State, who lost to Toledo handedly this past week. What are your thoughts on the state of those two programs right now? I'm just curious as a college football person in general.
I think it's very dangerous to turn over coaches as often as those programs have turned over coaches. Tennessee did this for about 2 decades after Philip Fulmer. They sort of, they pulled the bucket up from the well and got Josh Heupel at the right time. And I think he's building a really, really good program right now. Defensively, they don't score on Tennessee, and they're putting up video game numbers. So this is, I think, a team worthy of that top 10 ranking. Florida and Florida State have had a lot of turnover in head coaching over the last 2 decades or so.
Yeah,
and Bobby. I just think that when you do that, there's no stability. It's kind of a sign that there's not the alignment from the president to the athletic director on down to the head coach. Everybody in this league has great facilities. Most teams in the ACC have great facilities. There's great teams. Like in SEC baseball, when your schedule comes out, you don't find 4 or 5 soft spots in the schedule. Florida's schedule's got, they should win at Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
They should beat Kentucky at home. There are no soft spots otherwise in that schedule, and we knew it was going to be a tough schedule. Now, I don't follow the recruiting all that closely for Florida and Florida State, but quite frankly, there is no excuse for those 2 teams not to be recruiting at a top 10 level nationally every year. If that's not happening, then that's, you got to look at that and figure out why and address the why. But, the transition that the coaching staffs have had is what jumps out to me first, or that those schools have had in their coaching staff, is what jumps out at me first as to why they can't build long-term consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points. And, to talk about that recruiting aspect of things, just speaking of the 2025 rankings right now, the composite from 24/7, Florida sits at 22nd currently right now, and then Florida State sits at 34th. So, Norvell kind of tried to revamp his team out of the transfer portal. And I don't know if I've talked to this about you, but I've kind of come to the point, yes, the transfer portal is fantastic. It's a way to plug holes that you need, but you cannot do a whole team out of the transfer portal and recruiting is still the key to success going forward in college football.
No, I agree, and that's what Hugh Freeze is doing, and he said it. He said, you got to go to the portal every now and then. You can't be totally anti-portal. That probably doesn't work. We'll see. Clemson's taken a lot of flack for it, but it's not like they're a bad team. But, I think it's smart to address needs that you have on a yearly basis, but the majority of your team should be built by high school guys that you build relationships with, and they establish some roots. Not everything that you plant with roots is going to stay, but something planted with roots has got a better chance of staying than something planted without roots. And so I totally agree with you, Ryan. I think that's the way to do it. And there's so much talent in Florida that if that becomes the philosophy again, and you get a dynamic recruiter and a dynamic relationship builder. Recruiter, you can be successful as a one-time salesman door to door, or you can be successful by building relationships. And you've had too much of the former, not enough of the latter at those two programs.
Yeah.
And, you get some people who can do that, and you'll see those rankings change. And when the rankings change, the results on field change.
Absolutely. That's why we're looking forward to that 2025 class from Auburn, currently 4th in the composite rankings right now. So Hugh Freeze building those recruits and nurturing the relationship. Brad, we're looking forward to coming up to the Plains this weekend for hopefully an Auburn victory. We appreciate you as always. Enjoy the week and enjoy the game coming up this weekend.
Appreciate it, Ryan, very much. War Eagle to the Auburn fans on the coast. We'll talk to you soon.
There you go. That is. Look at David Hayes throwing a War Eagle there.
I'm professional.
There you are. War Eagle indeed. Thank you, Brad. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll be right back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. I would probably call it a wrap. If Tua was my son, I would suggest calling it a wrap. But I'm not a pro athlete. Thinking about this morning, I wonder if the NFL should not consider an amnesty clause. The payer gets played. It's an amnesty clause. It doesn't go against your salary cap, so it doesn't punish the teammates.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Dak Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at Dak Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at Dak Cajun Place.
And the best wings on the beach.
The locals' favorite, Dak Cajun Place.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
With the playoffs hanging in the balance and the Atlanta Braves looking to make some noise, it's going to come down to every single game.
Swung on a fly ball, deep left center field, that is down for a base hit. Braves win it in the bottom of the 10th.
Tonight, the Braves roll out their final road trip of the season with their first stop at Great American Ballpark to take on the Cincinnati Reds.
Braves first pitch, 5:40 after the afternoon underdogs. Your home for the Braves, ESPN Northwest Florida.
From the beach to the bay to the backyard, it's the Inside Drive from the Bill Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studio.
I've got sand in my underpants.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Before we go to our caller on the line, I promised him I would mention it today on the air in case anybody at school is currently listening. But Liam was begging for the Falcons to win last night because he assumed most people picked the Eagles. But early on in the pick'em, the group pick'em, this has nothing to do with the station. It's what we organize outside of the station. Even though I'm in 23rd place, my son, Liam, is currently in first with a 22-10 record after a very, very challenging week. A lot of people right behind him, though, at 21-11, but he's currently sitting in the 96.4 percentile, that little blonde-headed booger. But
20% tax for those who win that are under 18. New rule.
There you go. There you go. I'll transfer it to me.
There you go.
And then I'll launder it and get it back to him. But speaking of the Atlanta Falcons, we do have a caller on the line, and I know he's a lifelong Falcons fan, and he's probably pretty excited about that very last-minute comeback after a little bit of a dropped opportunity there for the Eagles. Keith, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. I've always said Liam is the true sports expert in your family, so it's good to see that's playing out.
That's fair. That's fair to say. He probably does more research than I do.
I doubt that.
Nah, I don't know.
I am very excited, though, as a Falcons fan. Honestly, in shock. That is not what we're known for doing, is, taking a game that we were supposed to lose and grabbing victory at the last minute. It was also just, it's been forever since we beat the Philadelphia Eagles just in general. That is a team that has owned us my entire adult life. I really want to thank the Philadelphia coaching staff for not giving the ball to Saquon Barkley on those last couple of drives in the red zone. I have no idea what they were doing, but I owe an apology to Kirk Cousins, who I said some pretty nasty things, not on the air, but to friends and family about his performance week one. He came back, looked really good in week two. There's still some concerns about. I still don't think, would you think it's fair to say he doesn't have the zip on the ball he used to?
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that's probably the Achilles injury because it was his right foot, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
So that's your drive. That's how you're really, getting to that left side, firing everything. And yeah, there's a couple balls that just didn't seem to come out, but also shown when he doesn't have pressure, he's still one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, and just a great job by the Falcons coaching staff. Really proud of the way that Kyle Pitts and Drake London blocked last night. They were really doing something that neither of them really gets a lot of credit for, particularly Kyle Pitts, who people, want to hammer and say, what we see today in a group text that, he's
You're sending out the bat signal. Good thing the show is ending here shortly.
Just ridiculous. But I did want to share with you guys some of my favorite stats from this weekend, because I don't know if we'll get into them tomorrow with all the DFS stuff we got to cover in fantasy, but let's start with...
Let me get one thing in for you, Keith, really quick.
Absolutely.
And this has to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, since 2003, they have 4 losses with a lead inside the final 2 minutes. And they've allowed a massive 140 points inside the 2-minute warning. Those are both the most in the NFL since 2003. So, what happened last night was just kind of more of the same there for the Eagles. But yes, go ahead. Let's talk about some of the action from this past weekend.
Well, why it was so important that the Falcons ended up winning last night is I went back and just looked at teams that have started 0-2 since the league in 2021 went to the 17-game schedule. It always had been 16 games, and it's honestly surprising because 21 teams have started, 21 teams have started 0-2 basically the last 3 years. That does not include the teams this year. And of those 21 teams, only 3 made the playoffs, the Bengals being 2 of those 3 teams, and only 4 teams ended with a winning record. So kind of surprising, adding the extra game has not meant that it's any easier if you start yourself in that hole of going 0-2. So it was huge for Atlanta and a lot of other teams that, got that victory to go to 1-1 this past weekend and not falling to 0-2 because their playoff hopes, if recent history says anything, would kind of be dashed in many ways.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about that earlier in the show. Just, it was kind of a very nice thing that happened there for the Falcons. And, the play call, the decisions, it can all be analyzed after the fact. If he catches that football, none of the discussion we've had and most people have had on their shows wouldn't be happening today. That's for sure.
Speaking of teams that are 0-2, the Ravens, for only the second time, and this speaks of how good of a coach Harbaugh is, are 0-2 for just the second time since he became their head coach in 2002. And you were speaking about the Eagles and their collapses. This was the Ravens' fourth double-digit fourth-quarter lead blown just since 2022. So we're talking about just 36 games. They have blown 4 games with a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. That is not good, and they have coming up, by the way, at Dallas versus Buffalo, and then at Cincy. So a really difficult stretch coming up for a team that a lot of people thought, including myself, would be a potential Super Bowl contender. The New York Football Giants, did you see this one, became the first team in NFL history to lose a game scoring 3 touchdowns on offense and allowing 0 on defense. It always amazes me when a team becomes the first to do something in a sport that obviously has now been played a very long time. And then the final stat is for your boy and longtime listener, Travis Peterson. The Saints offense has now scored points on 78% of their possessions this year on offense. 52% have resulted in touchdowns. I will go ahead and say that I was dead wrong about this offense. This was actually one of the teams in fantasy that I said I would avoid like a plague, like the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, that one's holding true.
And, man, if you have some of these Saints key figures, and by the way, Derek Carr is still available in fantasy leagues, like way too many fantasy leagues. So you need to go out and pick him up if he's available. If you're weak at QB, even if you have one solid QB, if you don't have a good backup, go pick up Carr. But this offense, they have completely changed the way they run their offensive scheme. They have as much motion as any team in the NFL, pre-snap, and also are doing as much play action as any team in the NFL. And boy, is it working gangbusters. And you can't say that obviously the Panthers, they look like a mess, but this is a Cowboys defense that I know they've lost some key parts. I know that Dan Quinn left, but they got a lot of talent on that team. And, they made them look silly. On Sunday, Alvin Kamara looks like the steal of fantasy draft this year. And just I think it's fair to say this is not just a 2-game sample size, and the Saints offense is going to be really good. The one thing I will take credit for is I did bring up that there was a chance that Carr hurt his shoulder early in the season last year, and if you remember, he could not throw the ball down the field.
No, he couldn't push
and
it.
With their weapons of Rashid and Olave and just some of the pieces that they have, it really limited their capabilities on offense. And I think now it's fair to say that shoulder injury had a lot to do with why he looks so bad for a quarterback who's been, let's be honest, pretty good most of his career. So I am happy for Carr, but I'm not happy for the Saints because, I hate them as a Falcons fan.
Yeah, no doubt. And, hey, you know what? Coordinators matter. Probably almost more than the head coach in some aspects. And obviously Kubiak comes from a long line of great offensive minds, and he's doing some wonderful things there for the Saints. But I agree with you on the shoulder injury as well. Let me ask you about Dallas. Dallas just seems like one of those teams, and I think I mentioned it earlier, and it's happened in the last few years. They get punched early and they get down, they don't ever seem to have the ability to come back. Dallas seems to win when they get ahead and they play Dallas football. But so far, what I've seen in the last couple of years anyway, against the Niners, against the Packers last year in the playoffs, and now against the Saints in week 2, the Saints got off to such a hot start. Dallas just didn't seem to have an answer for them.
Yeah, I think so much of that has to do with coaching. and then the best players on your team. That boils down to leadership. And it's funny that Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb and those guys, they seem to run their mouths a lot when they're winning, but they get awfully quiet and start making excuses when a game, goes like the one did Sunday. And this is a team that, it was interesting what they did this year, playing the game of chicken with both Dak and CeeDee Lamb with their new contracts. And, a lot of people were wondering, would Dan Quinn leaving, being a big deal? To me, it's actually Mike McCarthy who, if you take away his Super Bowl win with the Packers, which that has now been a lifetime ago, this has kind of been the history of him, somebody who can win against teams that he's supposed to beat, but they seem to always struggle against top, tier talented teams. And I was kind of surprised they didn't make a coaching change after that performance at home versus the Packers. Because remember, this is the Cowboys team that I think they had won like 17 straight regular season home games before Sunday. But it was shocking to see a team that had won 16 straight home games, put up the egg that they basically did versus the Packers in the playoffs last year. So kind of surprised he got brought back, but we know Jerry Jones is one of the most controversial owners from a fan base perspective because they won all those Super Bowls with Jerry Jones driving the car. Jerry didn't like that. He wanted to drive the car. They have not had any success since then. Maybe it's time for Jerry to, get back to the old days of getting somebody he really trusts to run that football organization and not stick his nose so much into the day-to-day.
And I just don't know if he has that in him. It just it's like he dies on that sword, and I know the fan base has called for him to hire a GM and let the GM do the job, and he comes out and says, I don't know a better GM than me. So until he gets out of his own way,
I know a few.
Yeah, several. It's just sometimes ego when you have the richest franchise in professional sports here in the United States. I think it kind of gets in your way sometimes, and you think you know all the right answers, and typically leaders that don't consult other people aren't necessarily leaders, and I think maybe that's where they're lacking a little bit. I don't know.
How are you feeling about your Niners?
Fine. Minnesota just has our number. Brock's beat every team in the NFC except for the he's 14-0 against the NFC.
Y'all not won there since '93. I did not.
32 years on the road.
That's insane.
And also Flores did a fantastic job scheming up. Even after the game, Brock went up to Flores and said, "Hey man, that was a fantastic scheme. Good stuff. 13 pressures, 6 sacks. Tough to play football like that, but we got the Rams in Los Angeles. Both teams are getting a little beat up. Debo's out, but Keith.
The Rams are more than a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. But Keith, we got our hard end of the show coming up. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Have a great rest of your day, my friend.
You too, boys. David, and I guess Jay's not there. Y'all have a great one.
Yeah, you too, Keith. Thanks.
Absolutely. Afternoon Underdogs coming up at 4 p.m. The Atlanta Braves will kick off at 5:40. Y'all have a great Tuesday, and we'll be back tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your official radio home for Auburn Tiger football. The tailgating, the crowds, the